Check it out. Thursdays, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, noon Eastern. A healthy dose of Jersey Girl wisdom. Live with Rev Jersey Girl. Sponsored by New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, or maybe noon, depending upon where you're coming to me from. Michelle Wadleigh here, Rev Jersey Girl Wisdom. I'm so glad you're here with me again on this radio show on this day, and I'm so glad to see you. We're here on different location today, so you see the surroundings. This is the very beautiful home of very good friends who live just a few minutes from us. You didn't want to listen to me today from my home, because in my home today you would have been hearing jackhammering going on. We are having major work done in our home, and so they're breaking up the basement and redirecting some sewer stuff and lines and whatever they do. And one point last night, I happened to look down the stairs to go to the lower level of my home, and I see this gigantic hole in my floor, and it was really interesting. And then they filled it back up, and now they're going on to do it again. So, but anyway, that's why we are in a new location, and over the next couple of months, it's likely that I will be coming to you from different places because of the work being done in my home. But wherever I have my computer and Wi-Fi, I'm here for you. Except for next week. Next week, you will either have a guest, someone else offering my show, or you will be having a repeat show, because next week I'm going to be with my guest from last week, if you remember who that was. And that was Rick Tamlin from the Produce You show. So next week, I have signed up to be part of his 3-day program, Produce You program. And I'm really excited. I'm excited because I like when somebody inspires me to be more. And today's show, I don't know if you're just usually plugging in or if you saw my invitation on Facebook. So the title of today's talk is By Right of Consciousness. And by right of consciousness is a theme in my life because, and this I'll tie these pieces together for you. It's a theme in my life because I come to you with degrees in life, but not necessarily degrees. I come to you with massive experience, but nothing that was written down in a book. I come to you as one who has had to rise above life situations, as I'm sure many of you have. And most of that I did on my own accord. Within community, though, because that's the second part of the message I want to deliver today. For me, by right of consciousness, what this means is that I had to earn the right to be here with you. And the way I earned that right was through my own healing, personal development, and rising up from within myself. I used to say to my congregation when we had a building and when before COVID, every few months I'd stand there and I'd say, I'm before you by right of consciousness. And as far as I was concerned, it was my job to earn the right to constantly or consistently be in front of them. There's no reverend, even the reverend doctor that I have, none of that determines me ready or worthy. What determines me ready or worthy is what I do with my life and how I show up. And I was thinking about this morning that early in my life, when I was on the spirit, when I was really active as a young adult, or well, not really as a young adult, I'm very much an adult. As I was on the spiritual journey and traveling the Science of Mind journey, which has been a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful journey for me. I think at that point, there was me, Michelle, and there was me trying to be this spiritual human, right? There were two aspects for a while. What I love about what I have worked to do and why I say I'm here by right of consciousness is because if we keep them separate, there is a duality within ourselves, as if some part of our humanity is not spiritual enough, or some part of our spirituality is too holy for our human essence. But when we come together and when we marry those two and we recognize that we are spiritually human and that you can only be as spiritual as you're willing to be human, that they actually grow out of each other, then in that moment you are a unified body. So in the morning, I might be slugging down cups of coffee and having a good old fashioned chew the fat with a friend, but in the afternoon facilitating a sacred ritual. And if I'm really coming to you by right of consciousness and by a sense of a unified whole, then you won't see a difference in me. You'll just see me roll over into that next role. As one who carries the title Reverend, I've never been very attached to those initials. I know many people are, but the fact is, it's been my experience that titles and initials create a wedge between people. And what has mattered to me more in this life than anything is being available, being absolutely available. And in being available, I'm going to show up as the holy being that I enjoy being. And in the next moment, I might have a shot of tequila and not see those actions as different, not criticize a fun evening with friends as something that's wrong and that I should not do as a spiritual being. And so I think there's a lot of confusion out there. I think individuals think you are one or the other. And yet life would have it, especially with the Generation X. I think it's Generation. I don't know which generation, whatever the younger generation is that's coming in. They're about life. They are about showing up in life, and they are not coming to churches, and they are not coming to spiritual events because they just want to be in life. So if in life, if that means that in my spiritual event, I have to show up one way and I separate myself from the fun loving person I want to be, then what's going to happen is that I won't even be able to be in conversation with this generation of people. And having a 25 or almost 25-year-old, believe me, I have lots of practice and opportunity to do this. So I'm going to do something today that I've never done on this show. I've done it with Laura Topper, the precious Laura Topper, who has amazing shows and amazing guests and is always one of the most listened to on New Thought Media. She is definitely a beauty to behold. So if you're listening, Laura Topper, bless you. But something I've never done here, I'm going to do it today, is I'm going to offer a spiritual mind treatment. And I'm going to do it a little differently. So if you are out there and you're measuring whether I have all the steps done, you're not going to be very happy. Right now, I'm going to be me. And I'm actually going to do it with my eyes open, which I normally don't because I like to go inside and do it from inside. But today I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for you. And here's what I know to be true. I know there is a power and a presence and a love that is grand. It is glorious. It is amazing in ways I haven't even begun to imagine. And I trust right now that this thing that we call life or God or spirit or energy or anything by any name avails itself to me, in me, through me, as me. And as I speak this word in the I am, I speak it for you. And as I speak this word in this I am, what I know right now is that life is working on my behalf. Life is absolutely working on my behalf in the most beautiful and perfect ways. So if I say it's working for me, I know it's working for every person listening because there is no private good. There is no private good. So as I delve into the fullness of my being is your being. My being is the being of another. And so I declare for everyone listening, that life is good and juicy and whole and sacred and silly and joy filled and creative. And I encourage myself and each one here to say yes, to live into it, to breathe into it, to allow the essence of the all that is to be our only identity and authority. I'm so grateful to where this resides within, where it adheres to at a cellular level. Every cell of my body temple accepts this word because the whole being of me lives in the yes. And so I ask you to join me in accepting this truth, this reality, the spoken word as an authority of you right now. And let's allow that authority to pave the way, to roll out the proverbial red carpet. Let us walk this path, accepting our good and our greater good, our love and our greater love, our creativity and our oh so much more creativity. Join me, if you will, by saying yes, accepting it deep, 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 deep with the fullness of your being. And so it is. That's simply a word of accepting. Thank you. Thank you, Angelica. Yeah, there is no private good. When any one of us raises our consciousness, when any one of us raises our self-acceptance, when any one of us raises our self-love quotient, as my precious teacher used to call it, my spiritual teacher, when we raise our self-love quotient, it's raised for all people all the time. I need to stop, even though I feel like I'm on a little bit of a roll here, but I do want to stop because I so appreciate this radio station. I so appreciate. I know I say radio, but we're on Facebook, but we also are on YouTube, and I know that their reach is growing and growing and growing. And I'm so grateful that they saw something in me and that I get to play with you in this world. Because by right of consciousness in my world, all I want to do is play with others. I want to play with others who want to play big. And Reverend Bob and everybody, the team, and Diego, who right now is behind the scenes making this possible, and all the volunteers, we are working diligently to provide programming. And if you notice, there's many new guests, many new shows. and more coming. And they do that so that the world as we know it can feel a little sweeter, have a greater sense of love, have a greater sense of self that's whole and perfect. So do everything you can, please. Stop, even if you stop what you're doing right now with me. Take out your phone. You know, you hear the train in the background? Take out your phone and send a donation to newthoughtmedia.org/donate. Newthoughtmedia.org/donate. Yes, and find the links in the show description on Facebook. Give something. It doesn't have to be a lot, but give something. Thank you. Okay. So so there's two things, and there's something I've been talking about. And last week I gave what I called my birthday address. Last Friday, I'm happy to wear the badge. I became 64 years alive. Now, that's something I want to say to you. You will not hear me say I'm 64 years old. Ah, bless you, Thomas. I am 64 years alive, and you should be alive too. Because the truth be told, that you are alive. So I'm gonna get on my soapbox for a minute. You've probably heard this before if you've listened to me from the beginning, but I'm gonna do it anyway. From the time a baby pops out, we say, "Oh, how old is the baby?" And I want to look and say, "Not very," right? But we have that in our consciousness. Folks, join me. Let's change the consciousness. Ask each other. And when someone asks you, even if they ask you how old you are, say to them, I'm 50 years alive. I'm 20 years alive. I'm 90 years alive. And let's start affirming our aliveness instead of our age. Wouldn't that be so much more affirming? And it's funny, I know people make fun of me because people that don't know me, or even my grandkids, and I'll even say my grandkids, "How alive are you?" I'm like, "What, Nana? What? How alive are you?" So, in my address last week, when I became 64, when I celebrated my 64th year around the sun, I gave a birthday address and I spoke about credentials, and I spoke about what really credentials us in life. And I did that because I was asked to speak about something that confronted me, and then I had to face the reality, oh, if it confronts me, it's something I agree with, that I believe in. Remember, something doesn't bother you. Something will only bother you, is what I meant to say, if you are in agreement with it. So if someone challenges you about your political position and you get upset, it's very likely because you agree with what they're saying. If someone criticizes you and you get upset, it's because some part of you agrees with what they're saying. Okay? That's just the way it is. Let us stop lying to ourselves. Let us stop pretending that anything is outside ourselves. Nothing is outside of ourselves. Matter of fact, in the shadow class that I teach, the mantra that we use is that there is no one else, there is no other, there is no outside. That's what it is. There is no other, there is no outside. So if you believe that, then it backs up into, that's why there is no private good. Because as you and I raise our own self-worth, our self-esteem, our self-love, then that means that self is connected to the self of everyone else, every other person listening. And as we do that, we become more valuable in our own essence. And I just refuse to believe that there is a degree that can that can be more, how do I want to say this? There is no degree that can affirm you more than you can affirm yourself. There is no degree that could, because there are lots of people with degrees that aren't doing much. And I don't remember the exact quote, but Elon Musk said something like, I never went to Harvard, but people who work for me do. I mean, I'm not telling you or anybody else not to get an education and not to send your children to school. What I'm telling you that the value that makes you valuable, the worth that makes you worthy, is not something that can be acquired from outside in. It cannot be falsely acquired. It cannot. So I just want to let you know I'm doing another free 90 minutes tonight. And if you want to participate, it's called Diego, put it up because I'm suddenly not remembering the name of the program that I'm doing tonight. And you'll have to go to Planned Happiness Institute, which is the 501(c)(3) that my husband and I. Um, um, nope, that's not the one. The actually the thing that I sent you, but you'll find it anyway. I just can't remember it right now. I can't believe it takes a community. That's what it is. It's called It Takes a Community. So go to plannedhappinessinstitute.com and register for it. It's in a banner as soon as you go on the website. And come and join me tonight in a 90-minute conversation that that affirms that your good and my good are innate, that your worth and my worth are innate. And the thing about it takes a community is because I don't know about you. Even though I believe in the presence of the one as me, and I acknowledge it in a namaste fashion, that the presence of the one as you and I are one, that's true. I got news for you. If it wasn't, yes, that's it. It takes a community tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, 90 minutes free. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Diego. So I would not be here. I would not be here if it wasn't for my friends. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the people in my life who saw me, loved me, supported me, at times gave money to me, babysat my child. I personally have been loved and supported by a community. And I can remember many, many years ago, we had a Rinpoche come to our community that was at that time in West Orange, New Jersey. And this Rinpoche sat in front of the room and he said with great clarity that none of us would be anywhere without the other and without many others. And I'm going to really, okay, right now, if you have not thought to take inventory of, and now I'm going to say millions of people that had to do something so you and I could see each other. Well, I can't see you, but so that you could see me. From everything from whoever started the internet, computers, who who created the electricity and laid down the wire so you and I could have electricity that we could plug in, the technology to see each other, the technology so you could hear me. Okay, let's get a little closer to home. When you go to work, did you pave those roads? All right, maybe some people still live on unpaved roads, but millions, well, billions of people don't. Who paved those roads? Have you stopped? When was the last time you stopped to say, oh, thank you for paving the road? When was the last time that you stopped to say, thank you for growing that food, the fruit, the vegetables, the meat that you might eat, the fish that you eat? Unless you are an individual living on a shoreline catching your own food, there's someone who has helped you survive. And if you and I could have a conscious practice, an absolute conscious practice of thanking everyone all the time for the clothes that we wear, unless you happen to make your own clothes. Okay? You and I have not gotten here in a silo. Millions of people have done something to allow us to be. And if we could raise our awareness to stay in gratitude and to practice gratitude all the time, our own vibration would be higher all the time. Even right now, like I said, I have Precious Diego, behind the scenes here with me, being my producer. So while I'm here by right of consciousness, that consciousness was met by Reverend Robert, who provided the invitation, Diego, who supports the invitation, and anyone who's watching. Because if you were not watching, I would not have a show. If there was no reach, if there was no one benefiting, I would not have a show. So we are already in relationship with each other. So the whole 90 minutes tonight is about how do you create your posse? How do you identify and or create your posse? And a posse to me means those people that love you and surround you. I got news for you. I mean, just even my son, my youngest son, I was in ministerial school finishing my training, and I had to go to a Silomar to finish what we call an intensive week, which always lived up to its name. And I had to go for 1 week and then stay the next week for the conference. And I had my son, I think he was 3 at the time or 4. And if I didn't have my very, very good friend, Tina Lavenia and Joe Lavenia, good friends, raise their hand and say, I'll take the baby, I wouldn't have been able to go. And then leaving him for 2 weeks was too much for me. So then my minister, then teacher, Frankie Timmers, decided that she would bring him out to me. So I finished the first week, and then he got to be brought out to me. Maybe he was 4 or 5, I'm not sure at this time. And then she brought him out to me, and then we got to be in conference together. I live by right of consciousness, but by right of consciousness, I attract support. I attract love. I attract students. I attracted my husband. I attract a community. Everything you do is by right of consciousness. So, in order to have the life of your dreams, the consciousness must be developed. And sometimes we allow the toxicity of the collective unconscious. We allow that to interrupt our thinking. It, give me a thumbs up or something if I'm making sense here. If you're following this, this conversation, because it's actually a big idea. Even the very idea that there is no other and there is no outside, if you have never heard that concept, that's probably a big concept to you. The people who have worked or have trained under me, I mean, they're used to me throwing this stuff at them, because in my world there is no exceptions. If we believe, if you and I as metaphysicians, thank you, Angelica, if you and I believe that there is only one life, that life is God's life, that life is good, and that life is our life now, then how do we allow in exceptions? And there are exceptions. I mean, there are exceptions, or so we think, but those exceptions only have the power that we give them. They have the power that we give them. Okay, some things are very big. I mean, there are certain collective agreements. I I got to be honest. I've heard stories of people regrowing fingers. I've heard those stories. I don't know that I have the consciousness to regrow a limb. So there's probably a limit to what I believe I can do. Ah, hi Maggie. There is a limit to what I think I can do, but that limit for me keeps narrowing the separation between what I believe, what who I am, and what I believe is possible. That keeps narrowing because I keep expanding my consciousness, and I have a community that supports it, and I don't mean just my CSL North Jersey community. God bless them. God bless those people. But I'm talking about friends. I'm talking about, my husband and anyone around me who's willing to be in this conversation. And so now that's you, because somehow you and I have had an agreement that lands me here. So here's what I want to leave you with today. All the good that exists everywhere simultaneously. All the power that exists everywhere simultaneously. So there is no place any one of us is separate from it. If we believe that, then that would call for us to not give power to feeling less than, feeling unworthy, feeling not enough, or feeling that our opportunities are outside of ourselves. They're not. They're not. There's no opportunity. And even though I've been in science of mind for as long as I've been in science of mind, I have a renewed. You might laugh at me if you're listening. If you're a seasoned religious scientist, you might laugh at me. But I have a renewed appreciation for the whole idea that we speak our heart's desire without any evidence. I'm here to testify that the dreams that we have exist somewhere already. And it's so important that we do not wait for evidence to affirm ourselves. It is so important that we don't wait for evidence to affirm our good, because it's right behind this thin veil. So as we live and breathe and affirm it, that veil starts to lift and it shows itself. And then what happens is, if we doubt it, it goes like this. So what you and I have to do is we have to affirm the presence of the power by means of us over and over and over again, without evidence, without the physical evidence. Go for that new business. Go for that new business. Oh, that's my great granddaughter who was just on there. Go for the new love of your life. Go for the trip around the world. Go for the Oscar. Go for whatever it is. Let no human measurement tell you can't. No human measurement would tell you can't. Oh, I see what Angelica's reminding me. I made a reference to the wrong date for the Rick Tamlin show. You're right, Angelica. Thank you. That's right. In 2 weeks. It's in 2 weeks. So thank you for the reminder. I guess I'm kind of excited about it, to be honest with you. I mean, few months back, not long ago, I've been wanting to support practitioners for years. I love practitioners. And if I was in charge of the world, every individual that I know would have a practitioner on your speed dial, and you would call your practitioners quicker than you even call your doctor, or you call your practitioner and then call your doctor. Why? Because I want to see you do everything you do with spiritual support. Okay. So with that, I have wanted always to raise and train and support practitioners to being the best that they can be and to be the professionals that they've trained to be. And in this teaching, we haven't given them, I think, all of the credit that practitioners deserve. Okay. So I decided that I wanted to do whatever I could do to have them be even greater professionals. So a year ago or so, well, maybe a year and a half ago with COVID, my time and perception is off. But what happened was, I had said a long time ago I would provide training so people could do what I'm doing with my forgiveness courses and the shadow courses. And then COVID came in and there was a delay. And then a few months ago, finally, I said, that's it, I'm doing this. Well, I had no evidence. I had no reason. I had no outside reason to think it was going to work. But I'm here to tell you, from deciding that I was going to do it to the launch of the coaching program that's coming this Saturday, 2 days from now, we have 18 students in there, 18 beautiful, beautiful people that say they want to touch lives in a greater way and have greater impact. That didn't exist. I was bold enough and just daring enough to say I could do it. And that's what I want for you. I want you to say you could do it. So by right of consciousness, I created this being on the show. By right of consciousness, I created my community. By right of consciousness, I've now created a coaching academy. And I'm thrilled because I know that it's believing in the presence of God as me that's done it. And so I believe in that presence of God as you. There's nothing different between me and you. Nothing. Thank you. So I leave you today on that note. And the note specifically is, from my heart to yours, believe in yourself. Believe in your wholeness. Believe in your wholeness and your worthiness. I see you, Martha. Believe in your wholeness, your worthiness. Believe in your enoughness. And do it even before you see the evidence. Affirm the presence as you in you. Because you deserve it. You deserve it. I love the spiritual community that I'm part of. I don't mean just my local community. People listening here, it's a beautiful thing. I just want to see more of us. I want to see more happy people. I want to see more happy, alive people. And that's why I do all that I do. And believe me, I work a lot. And I'm willing to do it because of how much I love to celebrate life as you. So big love to you. Oh, Maggie, good. Maggie, you have a big dream. You believe in that dream, Maggie. Don't you? I'll never forget when you walked into the center. I'll never forget you. You were timid and your head was shaved and you kind of walked in kind of slowly. But you have a big dream. You've had that big dream for a long time. So, Maggie, you believe in that dream, and everyone here too, whatever that dream is, believe in it. And join me tonight. Please join me at plannedhappinessinstitute.com tonight. Go in there, register, and let's talk about how to build our power. I call it a tribe here. Oh, I love that quote too. I'm sorry, I'm tearing up here. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Let's go together. Okay? Let's go together. I love you. I love you. I do. And as I affirm always, I am the place where love resides. So from the place where love resides in me to where the love resides in you, thank you for being here. Thank you. Go and do good work in the world, even if it just means being happy. Have a glorious rest of your Thursday. Be well. Be happy. Be brilliant. Bye.
Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience? Or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
Faith, love, openness, willingness.